Did you know that if you fail to maintain minimum balance in your bank account, not only do banks impose penalty, but they also charge GST on that penalty? For crores of ordinary Indian customers, this means losing money twice over. What's worse is this practice remains unregulated by the Reserve Bank of India, leaving customers with little awareness or recourse. In the end, it's the common people, pensioners, daily wage earners, small account holders who bear the brunt of why banks profit silently. In this episode of In Public Interest, I spoke to Chandramouli Mohan, a former banker with 38 years of experience in public sector banks, to understand how customers are being fleeced, why RBI has turned a blind eye, and what needs to change to protect the interest of the customers. This month on In Public Interest, we are taking up the issues in the banking sector, from corporate loan write-offs to issues related to microfinancing institutions, levying of GST on penalty payments, the issues faced by people due to CIBIL score, and the role of Reserve Bank of India in protecting, or rather failing, the interest of the consumers. If you like our work and if you want us to continue, do support us by becoming a paid subscriber of the News Minute or click the link in the description to contribute to our reporting fund. Sir, thank you so much for talking to us. What exactly is happening with regards to GST in the banking sector, sir?
Very good evening, Shabbir. Thanks for having me in your show. Uh, as you rightly pointed out, the banks are really what you call fleecing the customers in one aspect, and you have also quoted about the indifference of Reserve Bank of India. See, the customers, they suffer a lot because of poor service and so many other difficulties. But the issue is the banks don't take care of them properly or resolve their problems. The main reason for, I mean, and if you see, the number of customers who escalate the problem and get the resolution is very few. Very minuscule percentage of the customers only approach the banking ombudsman or the district consumer forums for some compensation or resolution of their problems. The main reason is the knowledge gap of the customers. They think whatever the banks do is correct. They are following all rules and regulations. It is a myth which is not correct. Similarly, very few people only have the time and the patience to approach the banking ombudsman or consumer forum for a resolution. So these are all the issues, and especially today I am going to tell you about how the entire millions of customers of the banks have been fleeced with 10,000 crores, minimum you can say. How it has happened, I can tell you. See, the thing is, I'll tell you with an example. The GST Act was implemented on 1st July 2017. The GST Act, what it says is, the seller of the goods or services should collect GST at various percentages, maybe 5%, 12%, 18%, or 28% from the customers and remit it to the government, right? So the very, very important thing is there should be exchange of goods or services between the service provider or the seller and the customer, right? See, this is, for example, I'll tell you one more instance. You are going by your two wheeler in Mount Road. Suddenly, a cop stops you, and you are going without helmet, and he asks you for a penalty of, say, 500 rupees spot fine. Whether any goods or services are traded, can you tell me? No.
No.
So GST is not at all applicable. So police is expected to collect only the 500 rupees fine. I'll tell you one more example. The pollution control department visits a factory and finds they are not following the rules. the effluents are discharged in the nearest canal or river or wherever the water drainage without doing any treatment of the water. So he makes an order to the factory for making the payment of penalty. Here also, there is no goods or services are involved, and hence only the penalty has to be levied. No GST is involved, right? These two examples just you correlate with the banks, right? See, the bank when you open an account, let it be savings bank account or current account, they tell you these are all my rules of business. One of the rules is say you have to maintain a minimum balance. It can be either monthly average balance or quarterly average balance. So you have to necessarily maintain for me to provide this banking facility. But here don't bring the zero balance accounts. I am talking about other than zero balance accounts. So this is one of the rules of business, and they also tell you in advance if you don't maintain the required minimum balance, I am going to penalize you by say 100 rupees per month or whatever it, the charges. The charges also differ from bank to bank. Again, this 100 rupees whatever they levy is only penal charges for just accepting your deviation in the rules of business or the deviation by which you could not maintain the minimum balance. So this penal charges here there is no goods or services are involved. This penal charges does not attract GST. But unfortunately, all the banks are levying 18% GST on all the penal charges they collect for not maintaining monthly average balance or quarterly average balance from savings bank account as well as current accounts. So
So
this is
GST is being levied on penalty
yes, exactly,
for
exactly. You are
not
right.
maintaining minimum balance.
Yes. And the Reserve Bank also has, while issuing a circular, they told that this is to be treated as a penalty only. So, by levying this GST on these penalties, banks have violated the GST Act as well as its rules, and they have also violated the master directions of Reserve Bank of India on customer service.
Okay, what could be the amount of money that they may have collected by imposing, GST on penalties?
Yeah, it is a very, very interesting question, Shabir. One or two parliament members, they have raised these issues in the parliament and they have asked a question how much the banks have collected as penal charges for not maintenance of what do you call the monthly average balance or quarterly average balance. You will be surprised. I have the data with me. It is directly from the reply received by the parliament. Just a second. Yes. From 2018 to 2020, the public sector banks have collected around 21,044 crores for only non maintenance of minimum balance. And if you compare it from 2020 to 2025, the same public sector banks have collected 8,933 crores as penalty for non-maintenance of minimum balance.
So
Again, I
eight
remind you,
the amount that you're quoting here, 2,144 or 8,933,
yes,
this is penalty amount
this
for
is the
not
total.
maintaining minimum
Exactly.
balance.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And what about the GST on this?
See, this penalty amount, whatever they have collected, this includes 18% of GST also. So when you break up this 21,044 crores and 9,000 crores, and if you see what is the GST portion, it works out to 4,576 crores. So this
Okay,
GST amount,
that's a huge amount.
huge amount, no doubt. Just imagine auto driver or a petty shop owner who is residing near your house, and he will be living from hand to mouth, and he may not be able to maintain minimum balance. And for one single day, if you don't maintain, the penal charges are applicable. In addition to that, the bank is charging GST also, which is a violation. And one more thing I remind you, Mr. Shabir, the whatever figures the Parliament has got is pertaining to only public sector banks. Just imagine the sector banks and cooperative banks and regional rural banks, how much they could have collected in these 8 years, 2017 till now.
So there is no account of the money that has been collected by these banks,
No,
private
account,
banks.
yeah, account is there because the another
No, I
important
think
thing.
in public, it's not being revealed
No,
as
no,
to
no, it is not
what
in
is the
public.
kind of amount.
No, it is not in public. Number one,
Now,
the
as a
parliament,
banker who has 38 years of experience, ex-banker who has worked in this industry, can you just like come up with some kind of amount, like your
definitely,
calculation?
yes, this public sector bank is 30,000. I am sure that equivalent amount would have been collected by private sector, regional rural banks, and cooperative banks together. So, totally, it comes to 60,000 crores, and the GST component alone will work out to 9,000 to 10,000 crores. And another important thing is these private sector banks are not public authorities, so nobody can approach them with RTA application. Whereas for public sector banks, I can write an RTA application, get how much they have collected, whether they have refunded or not. Those things I can ask. So,
Okay. In this case, are the customers aware that they are paying GST for the penalty, or like GST is being levied, which the banks are not supposed to do it? Are the customers aware of all these things,
no, that is
or
the that is,
are the bankers, tell them that this is a component, GST is also levied on the penalty for the charges of not maintaining uh, minimum balance?
see, the thing is, customers are not aware of these regulations, especially the GST regulation that penalties does not attract GST. That is the main issue. And I see my SB account pass sheet and say 112 rupees is charged. Say 118 rupees is charged. So I come to a conclusion this 100 rupees is for minimum balance, not maintenance, and this 18 rupees is for GST. And I think the banks are correct in levying this 18 rupees. So I just keep quiet. So once I came to know about these violations, what I did was, you would have heard about CP Grams, which is a central government portal where anybody can say lodge or register their grievances. So it is a public grievance. So I registered a public grievance against the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs. So this is the authority who takes control of implementation of GST, right? So they have replied with their notification stating that any penalty levied does not attract GST,
So
right?
goods and services tax is only when there is an involvement of goods, when there is an services are being rendered. Uh,
Exactly.
so
Yes,
that's about it.
that's
On
about it.
penalty, they cannot charge GST.
Yes, it is not attracted by GST Act at all.
Then how come the banks are How come the banks are levying GST or on penalties?
I can say it is ignorance, number one. And RBI has also not taken care of this aspect because every bank is undergoing inspection every year by Reserve Bank of India. During that, we have a separate department called Department of Supervision. They also have failed to observe this error. Number two is each and every bank is having a chief compliance officer. in the rank of chief general manager or general manager. The duty of the chief compliance officer is to see that bank complies with all the rules and regulations of not only Reserve Bank of India but also the central government and state government and everything. So the chief compliance officer of all the banks have also failed to observe this error.
So, sir, what happened when you approached the Central Board of Indirect Taxes? What was their reply when you highlighted that banks are collecting GST on penalties, which they are not supposed to do?
What they have done is they have quoted their notification which was issued in 2012, where with examples they have explained and told GST is applicable only when goods and services are rendered or exchanged. For penalties, GST is not applicable. This is the clarification given by them. And another interesting issue is with this clarification, I took up the matter with Reserve Bank of India, Department of Supervision, who has to supervise the functioning of all the banks and whether they are complying with all the rules. It is their duty to do that. You'll be surprised, Mr. Shabir. The reply received from Department of Supervision is this is tax related matter and hence it does not come under our purview. Now tell me
Which is
your,
the case? Which is true?
which is not true. See, even though it is tax related matter, RBI is the only regulatory authority which governs all the banks. I'll tell you one example. Suppose if a bank fails or does not follow the PMLA Act, Prevention of Money Laundering Act, the Reserve Bank of India cannot say that PMLA does not come under my purview. It comes under what do you call the central government, and I will not take any action if PMLA is violated, right? So the law of the land as well as the regulatory guidelines issued by Reserve Bank of India have to be necessarily complied with by all the banks, and it is the duty of the Reserve Bank of India to see that compliance is followed by all the banks. Here it is really surprising they have given such a reply. That means they have washed up their hands and we don't want to enter into this issue at all.
So, for example, if somebody argues saying that GST means goods and services tax, and banks are rendering services, hence they are well within their rights to levy GST on penalties. So, what's the big deal about it? If you don't maintain a minimum balance, then you have to pay penalty, and you have to also pay the taxes that comes along with it.
There are two aspects in this. Number one, Reserve Bank has issued a guideline in 2014 itself. There, that is even well before the GST Acts comes into vogue. There, they have mentioned the penal charges for not maintaining the minimum balance should commensurate with the shortfall in the minimum balance. Straight away, you cannot charge a flat rate. Let us not worry about it. There, they have mentioned that it is only a penalty and not equivalent to any service. So that logic, if you apply with read with the GST Act, it is very simple that it is a penal charges or penalty, and it is not a service at all. And one more thing I can tell you, the GST Act itself, in the very beginning, they give some exemptions. Okay, there are two important exemptions related to banks. One is accepting deposits. Second one is lending loans and advances. These two does not attract GST, right? The reason they have quoted is here the consideration what the customer gets or the bank gets, it is not the cost. The consideration is interest. When a customer deposits in a the bank pays interest. It is not giving the cost of goods or something like that. Am I clear? Similarly, when a bank lends an amount to me or Shabir, they levy interest. That is the consideration for giving you a loan. Here, there is no cost involved. So, the deposits and advances are exempted from GST. That rule, along with penalties, does not attract GST. These rules come together, when we read together, you will come to a conclusion this any penalty charged by the banks should not be additionally levied with GST.
Sir, in this case, thousands of crores of rupees, the banks have collected in the name of GST, because of levying GST on penalties.
Yes.
So the common man is not aware of all these nitty-gritties. The common man is not aware of whether he's being fleeced or whether he is not being fleeced. They have absolutely no idea about it. They are completely ignorant about these, these small elements that in which banks, charge them. So, what exactly is the resolution possible? Like, how can we take up these issues with banks, or what can we do as consumers?
See here, the news channels like play a very, very vital role. This is the time we join together and take up the issue with the Reserve Bank of India and tell them that this is the wrongdoing that has been happening from 2017 onwards. First of all, you give a clarification immediately that any type of penal charges does not attract GST. You stop levying it. Second step is RBI has to review all the collection of such wrong collections and instruct the banks to refund the amount. That is something very, very important because millions of customers have been affected and they have been affected monetarily. 10,000 crores is not a very small amount.
So, like, have you taken up these cases with banks? Because you know how the banking system works. The common man may not know. What has been the response from the banks? What has been the response from other authorities who know that this is something which is unacceptable, which is wrong, but despite that they continue doing it?
See, banks, one or two banks, I have approached them personally. They told that the Reserve Bank of India has not told anything about GST at all. So, this is also a part of service. We will charge GST. This is the reply I got from banks. And as I earlier told you, CBIC, they have clarified that penalties does not attract GST. Now, Reserve Bank of India also has washed off their hands, telling that it is a tax-related matter. We will not come into the picture. But only one thing I can tell you: Reserve Bank of India has got a separate department called Consumer Education and Protection Department, right? Their duty is to protect the interest of millions of bank customers, and it is the duty of CEPD, that is Consumer Education and Protection Department, to coordinate the issue with all the internal department as well as the CBIC and do justice to the millions of customers. That is my opinion.
And are they doing it?
No, I have written to them also. They have not even acknowledged my letter.
So the as usual, RBI is RBI has washed their hands off because in many cases the regulatory mechanism that are there in place are not being implemented properly by the RBI. That's what my understanding is. I've been interacting with a lot of bankers. They say that the buck stops with the RBI, but RBI does nothing to protect the interest of the customers.
Yeah, you are right. Even 1 week back, in August 4th or something, our Sanjay Malhotra has given a speech. In that, he has specifically mentioned that the Reserve Bank of India's purpose of, being is the customers. For them only we are serving. But they talk something, but when it comes to implementation, they don't worry about it. That is the sad part of it.
Right, sir. Thank you so much for joining us and explaining to us the something that is happening in the banking system, which many customers, including me, I am not aware of it. I thought banking services also come under GST, particularly the penalty part of it. Even if it is a penalty, it's like a kind of a service. But this is something which is an eye opener. I hope political parties take up this issue, and I hope they raise this issue in the parliament and they get some kind of resolution for the common man. Thank you, sir. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you, Shabir, for having me here. Thank you a lot. Thanks a lot.